Everybody ready? Everybody ready? I guess we're for real here. Call to order the meeting, La Crosse Board of Education. We recognize that the School District of La Crosse occupies the land of the Ho-Chunk people. Please take a moment and celebrate and honor this ancestral Ho-Chunk land and the sacred lands of all indigenous peoples. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Alberts?
Here.
Mr. Bagneski?
Here.
Ms. Fuchs?
Here.
Dr. Garcia?
Here.
Mr. Jackson?
Here.
Mr. Manka?
Here.
Mr. Neumeister?
Here.
Dr. Sprague?
Here.
Ms. Sukla?
Here. A quorum of the Board of Education is present, so the budget approval and levy certification meeting of October 27th, 2025 is hereby called to order. We will now stand and have the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tonight's agenda has been previously distributed to the board. I would entertain at this time a motion with a second to approve the agenda as submitted unless there is a motion to amend.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Second.
Okay, motion is second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion to approve the agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. We have no public speakers?
None.
Okay. We'll then move on to the board consent agenda. This is we just have one item. The board consent agenda is a mechanism used by the board to deal with routine business that must come before the body. Are there any items, or does anyone want this item removed from the consent agenda?
I would like to remove it from the present agenda.
Okay, I'd like to remove that. Okay, then. So we'll discuss it at this point and then do a motion? Is that how we do it? I want to make sure. Okay. So your questions or your concerns or thoughts?
Yes, I'd like to table this one until next week after our workshop as we look into OE11 and after our standard-based grading workshop today.
Any other thoughts, discussions?
I would just say, as at the last meeting, I don't see the need for that particular delay on reading this policy, which provides general instruction to the administrative staff. And
I would concur.
Is there,
This policy doesn't recommend standards-based grading or any kind of particular grading system, just that there are grading systems, so that seems like a good policy.
what is the reason that you'd like to? I guess I should ask you that.
Well, I understand I was in the minority last time upon the approval of this one right here. I still think, for me at least, I cannot pass this under good conscience as we're looking at standard-based grading upon looking at our policy that's directly affecting it until after we hear the workshop and after we take more deeper discussion. I'd like to take a more deeper discussion on this. I'm fine being the minority here, but I did not want to pass it through on good conscience if it's something I disagree with.
but again, it doesn't say anything about standards-based grading.
But I still think we need to review it.
So it is a second reading, and in the event that this is passed, Mr. Manka, we can, in agenda planning, if after the workshop we feel that there's a need to bring it back to redo language, that's an option for us as well. Any other discussion? Oh, but there's no motion. Is there a motion?
I move that we go forward with the consent agenda as printed.
Seconded.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Nay.
Nay. Okay, then we will move on to our information item, the Act 99 Employee Benefit Trust Account Report, which is an annual thing we get, and I understand this is a statutory thing we need to look at each year. Is that correct?
That is correct. So this is any district that has an employee benefit trust account.
it is brought to the board on an annual basis to review what happened during the year. So we have our regular OPEB account and our non-OPEB, which is a stipend. As you can see, the beginning balance for both of them and the contributions made to the stipend account the last year, and the interest earned on these dollars. Then the disbursements from the trust fund, meaning those are payments out to the retirees that are eligible for this benefit, with the ending balance as of June 30th. As you can see that we have a good, healthy balance for now, and that is why we chose for the 25-26 year to not contribute to this account and instead use that money towards our operating budget. We hope to resume this in the next coming years when we can provide a budget that is balanced and that the elementary referendum project is completed to that point. Do you need it larger?
This is different than the WRS.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Can I ask, what do we consider a healthy balance? I mean, I don't, 82,000 doesn't seem like that much to me, so that's, I mean, I'll take it, don't get me wrong, but I don't know what you consider a healthy balance. Is it over 50,000 or is it?
The 21
Yeah,
million.
I'm sorry, but I was
Mhm.
looking at the bottom.
Right. So we have an actuarial study done on this every 2 years to make sure that those that are eligible for the retirement benefit, that we have enough funds to sustain it. And at this point, we are okay without contributing in this next year.
Oh, that was gonna be my
Yes.
question.
Mhm.
So the intention is just to pause for 1 year.
Right. So if you can look at the disbursements made from the trust fund, the 874,000 from the regular fund and the almost 4 million from the stipend fund. So that contribution of 2 million offset that disbursement this year. So we can only do that for so long. But that was one of those tools that we decided that we would use. Mhm.
I have a few questions. First of all, just for transparency of the public, what kind of benefits are these post-retirements? And then my second question is this utilization that we see here, is that typical of other years? Is this higher or then lower than other years?
It's typical. It's typical. The regular OPEB is a contribution to an HRA after retirement. Every employee is eligible for that. The non-OPEB is only some groups are eligible for that, and that is a contribution to a TSA after retirement.
Thank you.
Am I right in thinking it covers, or it subsidizes health insurance for 5 years post-retirement to get people caught up to Social Security,
Correct.
Medicare
Mhm.
eligibility?
I
So-
I just want the public to be aware of what we're talking about here, so.
Very good. Any other questions?
So are you planning next year to also run in the red? And then, once the 2 schools are up, then we'll be able to reduce staffing or make enough cuts so that we'll be able to go back to putting money in? Is that the plan?
Yes. Yes, definitely.
Someone's got squeaky shoes.
And this is not, the board does not have to approve or disapprove, it's just for your information.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right, we'll move on to action items. The first one being the approval of 25-26 original budget and levy.
All right. So
this, I have a question. This
Sure.
says original budget, and then there was a budget we had for the hearing, and then there was a revised budget. So what's the original budget? I want to make sure we're clear in what we're calling them all.
the budget hearing budget is our preliminary budget.
Okay.
It's the proposed budget, and that's for budget hearing. This is the original budget that you will approve tonight. At the end of the year, when there's budget adjustments, that's the revised budget that also comes to the board for approval.
And that's based on actual.
Yes. Mhm. So this then looks like the budget hearing publication, but it's been updated for the last column to reflect the actual original budget for all funds that the board will approve tonight. And I will just go over a few things. The other attachment is the full budget book that has been updated with the enrollment numbers that we went over 2 meetings ago and the financial numbers that we went over the last meeting. But just to refresh your memory, this document here provides the 25-26 budget by fund and the 25-26 levy and mill rate. What has changed since the proposed budget was presented and approved for the budget hearing? So we had our third Friday of September membership account, and that impacts the 3-year average of declining enrollment and declining revenue. So 1.21 million for the 1-year exemption for declining enrollment equals 1.21 million less revenue limit authority in the following year. So this is pretty much what we were predicting, that we would be experiencing declining enrollment and therefore a drop in revenue. So open enrollment in and out, as you remember, we had a slight increase to the open enrollment going out, and the open enrollment remained the same as the previous year. Just a slight difference between the two, but the 419, the slight increase from last year, 22, does increase our expenditure for open enrollment for the next year. The 2025, the equalized valuation, it ended up district-wide from the 9 municipalities that support the district. It was an increase of 5.82% in property value in the district from the previous year. We had estimated 5.89% increase, so very close with the valuation. Then the state certification of general aid, we are receiving 1.37 million less than last year. So remember that the revenue limit minus the general aid equals your tax levy. The increase in private school vouchers for this year was $444,393 from last year. So how do these changes to the proposed budget impact the final general operating budget? There was a net increase to expenditures of $275,872 from the proposed budget, and then the use of fund balance is going to be $1.3 million. The board previously designated a total of $1 million from the Apple buyback dollars and the other grant funds received in 24-25 to be used in 25-26. So the actual deficit is the $275,872. The community service budget, we touched on that last time, that the levy did not change from what was proposed, but the budget did, based on the revenues and expenditures of the donation for the food pantries. So we increased the budget for that revenue and increased the expenditures matching that. So that's not levy covered, but it's in Fund 80.
That's Fund 80?
Yeah, because that's community fund of the food pantries. It serves our community.
Ins and outs match though, so it's a wash in terms of the budget itself.
Yes. It does not affect the levy whatsoever. There's no levy dollars used for the food pantries.
Oh, Okay.
Okay? So the tax levies, if you go down, I will go down. No? Whoop, that didn't work. There we go. So the tax levy is on the bottom, and you can see it broken down by the funds. And the proposed levy for the general fund is the 43 million. The referendum debt service fund levy is 4,305,340. There is no non-referendum debt service fund. The capital expansion fund is the $2.7 million, and the community service fund is the $2.3 million that we brought to the board back in August. So the increase is in the mill rate is 10 cents from what was proposed in the budget hearing, and then it is so it's at $7.61. This is an increase of 36 cents over last year, meaning $36 more for a home value of $100,000. The estimate for the capital referendum last November was an increase of 44 cents. So even with the elementary school referendum and other increases within the revenue limit, the increase to taxpayers in this first year of the referendum debt is a bit less than expected. So the school levy impact to taxpayers will further be reduced by the school levy credit shown on their tax bill in December. Any questions?
Go ahead, Jim.
You say this year, in future years, you can't predict it this time, but it's in that ballpark, or?
It's in that ballpark. Mm-hmm.
Did anybody else have questions? So you said it went down, but how much did the equalized value go up? Because all of us got some pretty interesting letters this summer.
Mhm.
So while we say the mill rate went down.
The mill rate went up from
well, it went
last
up,
year.
But not as
Mhm.
much, but
Mhm.
the mill rate didn't go as much. But it's like based on 100,000, so if your 100,000 is now 150,000, or your 200,000 is now 300,000 or whatever,
Mhm.
it's, even though that number went down, the dollars coming out of that taxpayer's pocket is still going up. And that's because it's,
Yes,
because
mhm.
it's the mill rate plus the equalized value, correct?
Well, and it can vary for any municipality in our district, so that is just the
The
average, right?
district doesn't assess the
Right.
equalized value, we have to just put that in our formula, but I just want to be
Mhm.
clear for the public that the amount per 100,000 isn't as high as we thought it was going to be, but your 100,000 last year is probably going to be assessed at more than 100,000 this year, so.
It's
it'll come up.
5.82%, so.
Okay.
5.82% district-wide was the increase for property value.
Thank you. Other questions? So I have some questions and some thoughts, and I know I'll be a lone vote, and I'm okay with that, but so we had to seriously look at consolidation a year and a half ago because we have to save money, we have to cut the budget, we've got to reduce staff. Since that time, we've passed, well, as of tonight, we'll have passed 2 budgets that will increase our staffing by about 29 staff, but decreasing our student population over that same time period of about 225 kids. So we're saying we had to consolidate because we have to reduce, we have to save money, and we're gonna save money by reducing staff, but now there's more staff here. I am not qualified to say we should or we shouldn't have more staff or what they should or shouldn't be doing. My concern is the process, and that we haven't been told what the additional positions are, what they're needed for, how, I assume it's to help students. I think it's a lot of it's in teacher's aid. We heard from staff in linkages, they'd like more staff or more teacher aides to help them in the classroom, so probably, but I don't recall a discussion at this table or helping us as a board to understand why we would be putting more money into that to help me understand that. And what difference are they making? How are they helping students? We are a data-driven kind of board, and I'm not seeing that. So I understand I'll be the lone no vote. I'm not against putting money in for students. I just want to know what we're paying for extra for students. And we haven't had that discussion here. When we did discuss the budget last time, I had to ask a lot of questions to even understand what the actual staffing numbers were. And again, our students are coming to us with more needs. We hear that from our staff, but I'm not qualified to say what we need to do to help them, what kind of staff we should or shouldn't have to help them. But my job is to tell taxpayers what we're doing with the budget. And when we have fewer students, we're adding more staff, and we haven't been told why we're adding more staff, but we had to close schools because we have to reduce staff. It seems like a hard message for me to explain to the public. So that's my thought, and I'm sure there's I've spurred a lot of conversation on this table, but I'm just putting the pieces together, and I feel like there's a hole in that, my understanding of that. Again, I'm not saying we shouldn't, we haven't been told how we're gonna use the staff or anything, so, yeah.
I ask a question maybe? Like, we did have a staff reduction when we closed Lincoln, but these schools that we passed the referendum for haven't been closed yet. So we won't reduce the staff until, that's why we're using the money from OPEB to cover, because we won't see those staff reduction changes until the new building opens and the buildings actually consolidate.
Yeah.
Because they haven't consolidated yet, the staff won't go down yet.
Yeah, and that's fair. I'm just looking at what we got in March, and we were told we were gonna be in the red. We were never told we have to start adding staff. I think where we were, we cut Lincoln, and then where we were, we would stay at something like that until we closed the schools. That was my thinking, but, sorry, Jim.
Well, and then the other side of that is, if you lose 5 students per school, or 5 per
can cut
grade
staff.
level, that really doesn't cause a reduction in staff, because it's just not accumulative. If all those students came out of one school or 2 schools, it would be easy to reduce staff. But if there's 5 students less here, 10 here, et cetera, it doesn't amount to cutting an entire person.
I remember I asked the question of how understaffed we were before compared to now, and that accounts for the difference as well, is that these weren't new positions created, maybe in most or all cases, but they were vacancies that we had wanted to have filled, and now many of them are. So we're closer to full employment, quote unquote, than we were previously. Is that correct?
That is partially correct. I don't know if Dr. Engel wants to talk to the behavioral and special ed support that the board has heard needed from our staff, but that is part of that area. These are positions that support our students directly.
Yeah, we've talked about this throughout the school year, and we heard specifically from school board members in our linkage reviews concerns about student behavior in our schools. And so we worked hard to identify a solution, particularly at lower elementary, that would help address that challenge. And we shared that with the school board a number of times. Our district behavioral specialist program, we have students that come in who don't have the skills that make them super talented at school yet, at 4K kindergarten, and they need somebody to really come alongside them for a period of time, 6 weeks, 8 weeks maybe. And once we get some skills in place and some strategies, those kids are able to flourish with their peers in the classroom. We found that there is not a lot of alternative education programs for younger students, and it also wouldn't make sense for us to collect a bunch of students that have severe behavior problems all in one room and try and educate them together in that setting. And so the goal has really been to create this program for district behavioral specialists to go into classrooms, work alongside kids and teachers, find solutions, develop routines, and get those kids successful. So that is a new program this year that has been in response to the linkages and teachers' complaints that we heard through our school board process. In addition, the clearest, biggest increase is in teacher assistants. And if you look at our special education numbers, despite the fact that we've had declining enrollment, our total number of students in special education has increased over any period that you want to look at, especially over the last 5 years. And the students that are coming into our schools have greater and greater needs, more severe disabilities than we've had historically. When we develop IEPs and write plans, these are federally mandated services that we are obligated to offer. These plans are developed in collaboration with teachers in the classroom, with administrators, and most importantly, parents who are seeking services for their children and their disabilities. There isn't a lot of option on whether or not we have TAs to support kids in these classrooms. It's a federal mandate that we're obligated to do. We have worked very hard to cut our budget in other places so that we can add the staff that our teachers are asking for, these TAs, these district specialists for behavior. We worked hard at creating a 2-tier busing system and cutting busing costs to the tune of about $300,000 this last year in order to create efficiencies elsewhere so we could add staff where it matters most. And we know that on any given day, it's not the bus system that matters most to a student's education, it's the teachers and the staff that are in front of them. And so we've done everything we can to be as efficient as possible so that we can leverage all of our resources to the one thing we know will have the biggest impact, that teacher in front of a kid every day. I am curious, what is the right time to have this conversation? And if so, can we build it into our process so that there isn't a surprise on the day we're about to set the levy for what the budget is?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's been discussion at this board table about wanting to know more what's in it. I remember Mr. Bagneski early on when he joined the board saying, you know, what positions are we gonna put in the budget? I think understanding that is helpful. I also understand that that's an evolving process because you don't always know what kids are gonna sign up for high school classes and you aren't always sure what your enrollment's gonna be. So I understand it's not a perfect science. I'm just concerned that people that were concerned about us consolidating and understood we had to cut costs. And I agree with Mr. Bagneski in that when kids leave, 1 here, 2 here, you can't cut staff, but we're adding staff, and that's what my question is. And again, I'm not questioning whether we need the staff, I just don't know what we're adding them for, or how do we measure the investment that we're putting in, what's it giving us? And we just haven't had that opportunity, and I think you ask a fair question, when should we discuss that? And I think earlier in the budget process, I don't have an answer for you off the top of my head, but I think that's a fair question to ask, and
So
I think something we can build into next year. Yeah.
I agree with President Sukla that I would vote for this, and I agree, but I think it is helpful that we should actually be bragging about it then, if that's what we're doing. We're adding staff to help the students. That would help us sell the budget even further. If maybe in next year, or whatever, as we make these changes, it would be nice to have a list of added staff and why, and and even those that we cut and why. Because I think it would be very, very helpful to us as school board members to sell it to the public as well, because they are asking the questions, and most of us will get hit up with it. Now at least we're able to say, we're adding staff, but it's in the right positions, and it's for the students. But, to have that information prior to this, and I agree, when is the right time? Obviously before tonight, right? But I mean, we kind of shotgunned it. We had no idea this was coming, but I think in the future, though, that we need to do that towards the beginning of the budget process, so we have an idea. Please.
Adam?
Mrs. Sukla does also bring a good point of knowing what's in the budget, got me thinking as well. Does this budget include, just from my understanding here, and I feel a little bit silly for asking this, does it include some of the things we have from the referendum, such as, are we voting for the budget now, and then we're gonna have to change it a little bit later when it comes to facilities? For instance, integrating Hogan here, we were told it's supposed to be one cost, and then just kept on rising until we got to 1.5 million. Is that gonna be, are those changes addressed in the budget over here?
Yes.
Fully accounted for?
The capital improvement budget. Mr. Levina brought that to you back in May.
They're separate.
Well,
The,
it's-
the budget book is very, very thorough. I know it's a lot of information, but if you even look at the staffing, there's a 3-year comparison by level that you can see where the staff is. And that is something that you just would really have to take some time to look at. Mhm.
Dr. Sprague?
Yeah, I would sort of push back on the characterization that this is sudden for us, that we haven't seen these numbers. I mean, we have a staffing.
No, I'm sorry, I meant sudden for us to ask him all about it all of a sudden.
Oh,
That we,
okay,
I
okay,
didn't
all right.
mean, yeah, we've had
Yeah.
numbers,
Right.
I agree.
Right, yeah.
And I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No, good, check,
I didn't want
thank you
clarification.
for checking my understanding, yeah, because, I mean, if that was, I totally get the concern with wanting to say, well, yes, we added 1 teacher, but was that a new position created, or was that a vacancy filled within the budgeting process? We added 10 teaching assistants, right, and those were the biggest increases overall. So for the public, we're adding direct contact, and as Dr. Engel has expressed, in many cases, to fulfill our federally mandated duties for special education. I think it's legitimate to be concerned about, as many districts are, administrative bloat. We, for example, went down an administrator. We took an opportunity to reconfigure the Hogan administrative staff when we had a departure, and chose not to fill a major role. So when we talk about finding the efficiencies there, I think we have a good sell, and when we look at the numbers, there's no anomalies. There's not a huge balloon of administrators, for example, in 1 year, which absolutely would be cause for concern. We have had consistency, we have had extremely clean audits, we have had extremely thorough budgeting practices, and it's just complicated because of the way schools work and the way the funding system is set up for us.
And in terms of, is this making a difference or not? And maybe we could get some information, and it'd have to be fine-tuned, but if we add this teacher assistant to this classroom because of a behavioral issue, does the behavioral issue improve because of that? And maybe we need to see some of that to justify some of this. If we added additional special ed teacher this year or assistant, maybe we could look at some data in terms of, yes, there was improvement in terms of learning, whether it was continuous growth, maybe they're still a year behind, but they were a year and a half behind, and now they're ahead a little bit. And so those are things that would be justification for adding staff and so on. Does it improve learning, or does it not, or does it improve behavior? And behavior disruptions cause all the students in that class maybe to learn a little less that particular day.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Turn
I'd
my-
say also pages 46 to 50, I think, is what you were talking about, where you can see where every addition and subtraction of what kind of faculty was made. So you can see that like 6.75 of the 17 positions that have been added are in special education teaching assistants. You could see that 2 are in regular education teaching assistants, right? If you want that kind of fine-grained, where we needing more support, that's there. And then I had a question. I was hoping I could find it in here, but I'm scrolling instead of flipping. Would it be useful to look at, like, I know it's in here, but I can't find it, the comparison of what we spend on employee compensation from year to year? Do you know what section that's in?
It would be under the salaries.
I keep
when-
finding the one that's like the levies and but
Right,
doesn't
it would be
have
the
that.
financial information by objects, and you'll see compensation. Let's see if I can,
I was just wondering.
Page 64
Page
would be
64.
helpful.
Okay, maybe I
63 is the
didn't go far
graph,
enough.
64 has the last year to this year. So as an example, base salaries is $57 million last year, and it was
Okay.
$59 million this year.
Yeah.
The bulk of that is increases, raises that
Exactly.
we've
And
authorized.
that was the question I was asking. We're looking at a $2 million increase, and we know that a 3% raise is like $1.7 million. And so even though we have more people, we've spent about the same amount of money we expected to spend accounting for steps or accounting for raises, right? So instead of looking at that 133 number, we might look at, I don't know, that $250,000 that changed, you know, to add additional staff. Sorry. It's just another way to look at it.
And Ms. Sprang's right in that her budget book is very detailed to the point that it helps me know what questions to ask. But you do provide us with a lot of information. Part of it is, and again, it's the process, not any reflection on staff, but when we get numbers and then what shifts and what changes. So it kind of brings us to this last minute to look at what is the number, and so that is the reason that it feels like a surprise. And as staff, I understand where that feels uncomfortable. I think perhaps a workshop to better understand where staffing is going and where it's needed at some point would be helpful, I think, for the board, and also understanding by adding these staff, what are we seeing happen for students? And some of the outcomes we can't affect because there's a lot happening in students' lives that are far outside the district's impact. I understand that. And my question is not about the quality of the information. I know the numbers are right. I know the audit is good. It was really a matter of transparency and process. That was really what my question is about.
I would offer up that we did have a workshop in March that talked about HR and staffing, and we talked about scenarios and all those things. And throughout this process, we've consistently talked about these assets that we need to support our students. And so I'm struggling with the idea that there hasn't been proper notice or transparency regarding these changes.
Perhaps it's my perception.
So I think we all would go back to budget school, and I think that's something that's important for ongoing boards as membership changes over, because very few elected board members are going to be experts in school finance. So I absolutely okay with the idea of having a workshop. And I wonder, my comment was initially going to be about when we're thinking about measuring the impacts of a particular staffing choice, right? Knowing, did that teacher age, make a difference here? I guess I would submit that should be in our OE reports. That should be in our regular work plan. And it's incumbent on us as board members to be linking that to this,
Yes,
right?
asking
And that's where in a workshop, I would maybe think, I could use some help with that as well, in understanding how to read, the instructional reports into the budget book based on our staffing, right? To see in our monitoring reports, because looking at an individual student or an individual classroom is often difficult and probably further in the weeds than the board should stay at. We want to be examining the district as a whole and the staffing choices we're making, and seeing the success in meeting our metrics is what I'm looking for in terms of, are we making responsible staffing decisions? And I feel like I've gotten that throughout the year for all of the however many half years I've been on the board now. I don't see any harm in having a workshop to help bring those things together for people, yeah.
Yes.
Contextually, just for the public, so we've got, I put together a 3-year trend for us for the mill rates. We can actually see where we were in 23 to 24. We were at $7.94 per mill rate. We had some revenue lift that we were unaccounted for, as well as some debt drop off last year. So we dropped to $7.25, knowing that we had a referendum pass. We're at $7.61. So we're still under where we were 2 years ago, and we're building a new school in this process. So I just wanted to keep it in context as to that, where we're at in the mill rate. We can't control the property values, we can't control the free market, but what we can control is our expenses and where we are roughly at that mill rate by comparison. So again, mostly for public notice, we have all the information here. I support everything that most everybody's said thus far, but contextually, it looks pretty clean to me, and for us taking on that amount of debt load and still be running at that mill rate, feels pretty good.
Any other comments? This is probably the most robust discussion we've had on budget since I've ever been on the board, so that's a good thing. So we'd look for a motion. Here's my papers, sorry.
I'll make a motion to approve the budget as presented.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Okay, we'll move on to community service.
Do do we need the second motion to approve
The
the
levy.
certified levy?
Mhm.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I'll make the motion to approve the 2025-2026 certified levy in the amount of $52,900,620.
I'll second.
Okay, motion and second regarding the levy. Any further discussion on that? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, I'll stay nay. Otherwise, I don't see consistent. Okay, now we'll move on to the community service fund levy.
Okay, this has not changed since the board approved it in, I believe it was August. So what we did is we just posted the pages from the budget book. It also shows the changes from year to year, and it also provides the definition of all of these categories that are supported by this levy. Any questions on this?
Procedurally, so we approved this in August, but by statute, we have to approve it again now when we approve the budget. Is that how
Mhm.
that works?
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah.
Can I, one last time, check my understanding on the middle school co-curriculars?
Mhm.
And that the 300,000 that is added to this fund, or to this levy, is also, is an interfund transfer, so it's coming off the other ledger,
Yeah.
in other words, okay. So,
So do we have a motion or any other, get a motion on the table and see if there's any further discussion?
I'll make a motion to, approve the community service fund levy
I'll
as
second.
presented.
Okay, motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
High five. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, so that concludes this meeting. We will take a 7-minute break, and then we'll come into a workshop on standard-based grading.